In this lesson, we're going to look at if statements. So if statements perform an action if certain conditions are met. An example might be, if a person lives in Brazil, then insert South America into the continent field. What we're going to first do is take a look at the formula in detail. So there's really three main components. So there's some test, and if that test is true, there's a value if it's true, and if it's not, there's a value if it's false. So let's take a look at an example of what this might look like. So a test might be if an order has more than 15 items. So we're testing that. If it's true, we're going to call it a large order. That's the value if it's true. But if it's not true, we want to call it a normal order. So here's an example of what it might look like actually in Excel. So we're checking to see if something's greater than 15. If it's true, it's a large order. If not, it's a normal order. Okay, so we're in our Orders tab of our Excel file. What we want to do is change the order category based on the quantity. So we're going to enter our if statement into the order category cell. So we'll start with the first order. So we'll say if, and then we'll select our test is going to be whether that quantity cell is greater than or equal to 15. That's going to be our test. And now, if that test is met, we're going to go ahead and call this a large order. So that's the value if it's true. And if that's not true, if it's less than 15, we want it to be called a normal order. So we'll do that, hit enter, and then we'll see that it's a large order. What we want to do now is copy or autofill, that calculation or formula all the way down the order category column. And we can do that by double-clicking the right corner. Excel will do all the work for us. So you can see, you can check the second order, or the third row. You'll see that 6 was the quantity, so I was calling it a normal order. So we can confirm that that's correct. The if statement's working as we expected. Now what we might want to do is check something else too. So if it's greater than or equal to 15, we'll call it a large order. But we also want to see if it's less than or equal to 5. So what we're going to do is actually add another if statement. So the value if false, what it's going to do is actually start another if statement. So this is called nesting ifs. So the value if false, we're not actually going to enter one. We're going to enter an if statement. So again, we want to start the if, check that quantity cell, and if it's less than or equal to 5, we want to call it a small order. So if it's not a large order, and if it's not a small order, the final value, which is going to be what, if it doesn't meet either of those conditions, we're going to call it a normal order. And actually Excel is correcting me because I forgot a parentheses. We're going to actually put 2 parentheses at the end because we're closing 2 if statements. Again, we nested an if. So we started an if statement and then added another one to it to check more than one thing. What we want to do is actually right now is autofill, use autofill to drop that formula all the way down because it was only in our first cell. That's what we initially changed, or that's what we just changed. Now what we want to do at the end here is copy our data in our order category column and paste it in as values. That way the formula has been removed and we just have the text there. So if something was to happen to our quantity field, we would still have that order category value there.